Hello. I wasn't planning at all on recording tonight, but I just had one of you lovely subscribers, thank you so much, by the way, message me, and it inspired. I was going to save this for tomorrow. It's interesting, it's 9:29 on the clock when I started recording, and it's making me think of 1929, like the stock market crash, like the Great Depression era. And I had a friend put on a show last night that I've never seen before, and it was like sort of the time frame, like right before that, I think, is when it took place. Oh, what is the show called? Peaky Blinders or something. I have to look up when that took place, but okay, so I just looked it up. I am eating a little bit, so you may hear me chew. Or finish swallowing, I should say. Peaky Blinders actually takes place from 1919 to 1934 in England. Oh, I thought it was before that. Okay, so yeah, 1929, like that's a dead center. Well, any of those numbers could be significant for some of you. For a few of you, you may feel like a connection to that time period, like whether through a grandparent, maybe through like a parallel life, maybe both. And then others of you, or maybe like more of the collective energy, also feels like there's, it's interesting. I was talking about purges recently, like coming on really strongly and like clearing space for this like monadic descension. And what I'm being shown right now is like, there's like this collective, I almost said genetic. Wow, I heard that in my head so clearly. Clearing from like that time period of like the Great Depression, even if your family's lineage is not like connected to that geographical part of the world. There's something about that type of consciousness through Great Depressions or, I just heard like prisoner of war. Wow, this is like, I didn't expect any of this. And I felt my sciatica on my left hip light up, which has been coming through quite a bit lately, especially through the mother's lineage, the feminine or the matriarchal, particularly surrounding fear, guilt, shame, which can be stored in the hips. So yeah, there may be like generational hip issues, or just even tight hips, hip pain, hip replacements. Like there's something about hips. This is so, I did not even think of this. I was walking by somewhere yesterday, like a restaurant, and Hips Don't Lie was playing from Shakira, and I'm just remembering that. Yeah, so there's something about like the high energy of that song, you know, like bringing back that playfulness into the lineage through dance, play, etc. So, excuse me. There's also been a very strong energy around like freedom, authority, self-authority, co-creation, like taking charge, transmuting passivity, like, you know, there's these phases and these cyclical experiences, and a lot of us, this collective that I'm tuning into, feels like we've been in a lot of the like, you know, feel it to heal it, and divine timing, and hermiting, you know, this whole idea of allowing things to just sort of like come, you know, healing that feminine energy of like being receptive and a little bit passive, you know, being in that like dark feminine womb space. And if you're finding this feels like there's something about the inner masculine being reignited and like being like the driver, being in the driver's seat. Of course, there's a co-creation aspect, an alignment still, but it's like bringing yourself out of that phase. So there's been a lot about like maybe seeing a lot of fives, 555, the Tower card in tarot. Actively taking changes, even if they're very small, you know, I call them micro changes or micro shifts. But there's something about doing things differently and showing up in that way. I was Googling, I feel like whenever I say that word, I sound so silly. Googling one of you that messaged me about an incident that you had today. I'm sending you love, of course, and I'm glad that you're safe, but I like to look up the spiritual meaning of almost everything, and something that came through was like a very mirrored energy to what I was receiving earlier today. So, excuse me, I'm just like clearing through the throat right now. I'm hearing light language in my head, so some of you may be tuning into light language or getting activated. Maybe seeing and noticing more pattern, like your pattern recognition may be increasing. There's also like the shadow aspect of pattern recognition or hyperfixation. That just wanted to be highlighted for someone. Like, you know, someone who may have some sort of like psychosis or obsessive compulsive, where they're like hyper fixated on details, or there's for some reason that just wanted to come up. But yeah, like it needed to come out in light language. So I looked up the spiritual meaning of getting rear-ended. So there could be these, like, you could be having dreams about cars, or having like incidents or maintenance with your car, or there could be like things coming up about like transport and or like mini little, you might have like walked into a wall or like crashed into someone with your body, you know, like when you're walking and not looking, or someone else isn't. Like there could be these like these type of like irritants. I heard irritants. So one of the things that caught my eye was sudden disruption and loss of control. Also test of faith and catalyst for change. Also, interestingly, slowing down to reflect. There's been a lot about also like direction in life, and recently I've been talking a lot about monadic descension. I feel like my voice keeps getting like sort of fuzzy, and I've been honestly coughing all day, like very uncomfortably, but I don't feel sick. It's like there's been this like, it feels like an acidic, like if you ever have heartburn or something, it's like this acidic backup. And when I've researched the emotional connection to heartburn, it was holding in fear. So yeah, it feels like there's this explosion of fear that is like, you hear that, all those horns in the background. I just paused for a moment and the radio came back on, and it was the song, I think it's Ja Rule and Ashanti, Always on Time. I haven't heard that song in a long time. But the literal line was, but I'm always on time, is like when it started playing. So speaking of time, yeah, there's been a lot around relationship to time becoming more quantum, for lack of a better word. I'm seeing like spirals. When I was in court reporting school, we used to practice like really long medical jargon. And for some reason, this word sphygmomanometer, I don't even remember what it is, but some sort of medical device is coming through. Yeah, that could be relevant for a few people. Like maybe you're in the medical field, or maybe there's something around that. But yeah, so there's something about also just like devices in general, and like measurement of time, how we measure time, again, our relationship to time, Saturn, father time, Chronos, like there's this, I just got so hot in my chest. The Aurora time spiral, that was like one of the, probably, I don't even know how long ago I did that transmission, but I talk a lot about this concept, and how as we continue to like descend the higher aspect or higher aspects, dimensional perspectives within the vessel, like time itself literally starts to become so much more malleable. Some of you may be having like dreams, like playing with time in some way, or clocks, playing with timelines, like training for something with timelines. But the always on time, it just makes me feel like, even though some of us, okay, this is so funny. I'm being shown, okay. So I'm in South Florida right now, and it's actually like kind of chilly. And the woman who I'm staying with has lived here for a really long time. And she's like, oh, it's Iceland summer. And I was like, or Iceland winter. And I was like, what are you talking about? She lived in Iceland for a little while, so Iceland could be relevant. The Northern Lights, or the Aurora Borealis. And she's like, oh, you never heard, like, Florida's winter is like 4 days long. I don't know. And winter was coming up all week, like the void winter. So it does feel like, paradoxically, I was just talking about like coming out of hermit phase, but then it's like change is coming. I did a transmission recently talking about being prepared. But it does feel like there's this like mini winter, you know, like what did she call it? Iceland winter, or like, I think she said Iceland summer, but she was meaning like, this is like that version, a 4 day long winter, you know? So there is something about like, I've also been feeling the need for like deep rest and replenishment. I was just able actually to get myself a little, for the first time in a really, really, really long time, just like a really little, hydrating mask for my face. Usually I like make them with food items, but where I'm staying right now, I don't really have that option. So I actually bought something, and yeah, I'm really excited to use it, to be honest, like so excited. Yeah, so it's like, I guess energetically claiming that aspect of self of like showing up in a way that is like the Emperor in tarot, that like inner emperor, but so beautifully balanced with that feminine aspect, because always on time, you know, it's like, it feels like whenever you're finding this, like, it's not that you're like off your path or out of alignment. That's not at all what this feels like. I was talking about this the other day, and I forget with who, but the idea of sometimes we need reminders, like when we've been in some sort of cycle, it's like we may just need a reminder, like, hey, this cycle is ending, so like be prepared. That's kind of what this feels like. So I was sitting outside earlier, and I was listening to a reading on YouTube from someone who was very talented, and she was saying a similar thing about starting to show up and do things in a new way or differently. And that's been coming through my channel for a while. But sometimes it's nice to hear other people tuned into a similar frequency. And the really synchronistic aspect was as soon as she started to get into that energetic strand, the wind around me just started. I mean, I wish I recorded it. Just started. It was not windy at all. And then it was not, it didn't, how do I explain this? It wasn't just like, oh, a breeze of wind. It was like through that whole time she was speaking, it was just like really strong wind all of a sudden. I mean, not like Kansas or Dorothy and, you know, not like a tornado, but just like gusts of wind. And then it just like stopped. And then when she came back to that energetic strand, the wind would pick up again. So I knew to pay attention. And I was like looking above me into the sky. And I often see what I call the Akasha womb portal. And it was sort of like hovering above me. And there were like kind of like these, I'm not sure what word to use to describe this. Almost like the phrase black hole is coming to mind. I'm not saying it was like actually a black hole, but it was like this, like, look kind of like a mini black hole that would like rush over my head and then disappear as soon as I looked at it. And it happened like 3 or 4 times, right? So like that void space, white holes and black holes could be significant for some of you. Coins. Yeah, the transmission where I talked about finding coins like synchronistically, like back to back to back, it's not coming to mind, but for some reason, some of you may like synchronistically land on that transmission, and there could be something there for you. Of course, they usually say coins or angelic communication. Okay, so I'm being reminded of I was recording for Patreon the other day, and while I was recording the overflow, I was speaking about a specific topic, and right as I was speaking about it, my mom messaged me that she found Beanie Babies that me and my sister collected when we were like very, very young. And it's just so crazy because like my family doesn't really, like, we don't really have stuff from the past that much, at least not that I know of anyway. I'm pretty sure my mom anyway. My stepdad was like a pack rat, and she's cleaning out his house right now, and he's lived in that house since 1989, so there is a lot to clean out. But it's just really crazy because my mom didn't move in to that house until like, I don't even know what year, way after I stopped collecting Beanie Babies. Like no one even knew that she still had them. Like we have no idea how they made it to that house because I lived in a very different house. Like it just didn't make sense. Anyway, the whole point of this is I was talking a lot about nostalgia, and like when we're ending this 10-year cycle keeps coming up, you know, things blast from the past. I actually had a dream about an ex-boyfriend. So like people from the past have been like coming through dreams. You may be having like, you know, that 6 of Cups sort of energy, karmic entanglements that were sort of heavy at some point, seem like they're just kind of coming back up. And I go into this more in the Patreon overflow, so I'm not going to dive too deeply into that, but it is something that's coming up again. And I'm being reminded that I was with I went to visit my friend who's having a baby, and as soon as I got in her car, my hair, like, this was crazy. I had like 3 knots. I'm talking like my hair will like knot a little bit, but this was like, I knew it was an energy thing because I was like, what is this? I had to rip out one of the knots, like literally rip it out, because my hair was just knotted in the craziest ways. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't do anything differently that would, anyway. Then I kept hearing the phrase over the next couple of days, karmic entanglement. And I was like, okay, that makes sense with the hair. And you know, they say our hair is like connection to source and all this stuff. So in some traditions, I just heard horse hair and then a horse feather. Shamanic traditions have been coming up a lot lately. And I was just looking into something, an energy sweep. So that could also be relevant for some of you. 1901. The number 19 has come up multiple times throughout this transmission, and I took a break to check something, and I had a message talking about the number 19. Also, it's the Sun card in tarot. It's also the day of my birthday, so any of that could be relevant. But yeah, there's a lot of talk about like restoration of, you know, joy, lightness. The hummingbird has been coming through super strongly. Higher vibrating frequency strings is something I just heard. I just heard trumpet. The trumpet. Judgment card in tarot is also coming through. Temperance, like the angelic beings, like blowing the trumpet. There's something about that. Yeah, there's like a remembrance coming through of like the inner angelic aspects, the angelic consciousness. You know, I keep getting like the phrase, that beautiful, delicate dance between, like, weaving together the masculine and feminine, because 2323 was coming up, that number. But then right as soon as I was messaged that number 23 when I was reading it from a text, I clicked on something like a second after that, and then 43 came up. And for me, 2343 is like the divine union number. You know, hieroglyphic template, inner union, also externalized union, feminine masculine polarity. So yeah, there's something I feel like really significant going on in that template. All of a sudden there's been a lot of energy throughout the lower abdomen. I've actually started doing massage there again. I used to do it a lot, and I kind of stopped doing that. And I was getting like a lot of uncomfortable energy in the abdomen, especially the lower abdomen. So some of you could also be experiencing that. There's also like a lot of womb clearing or sexual energy clearing that's been in the air, I'd say, the last few weeks, especially the last few days, but I've been feeling it the last few weeks. A little bit of that also came through the last Patreon overflow. I'm hearing aviola. I'm not sure what that is. Aviolon? I mean like Avalon, but there's like something else coming in. Also areola. I'm hearing like very interesting. Okay. When I said that, my right ear just started to pressure shift, but it was a little bit painful. So some of you may be going through a clairaudient activation. They're showing me the inner ears, and it said, I've heard this before, that the inner ear, when you, like, you can Google a picture of the inner ear, and they say that's supposed to like symbolically represent the inner earth map, like the shape of it. It's like, you know, everything's within us, right? So there's something about that, like this inner earth calling. I heard something very specific, like Agartha. So if you're having a little bit of like uncomfortability around the ears, maybe your balance feels a little bit off, there could be some like a little bit of dizziness, like sinus, you know, like the head, throat area. You may be craving broth, or like herbally brothy foods and liquids. Actually, I feel like I am too. I almost got broth and I didn't, and now I feel like that should be my next thing. I've also been drinking tea, and I've been really craving like adaptogenics, like certain like turkey tail reishi. So things like that could be also coming up for you. Whew, my head, ooh, there's definitely a movement in I felt that really in particular, like on the right side of the pineal, like at the forehead above the eyebrow. There's been these, I just feel like my voice got really loud. The molecular structure has been really highlighted. Structure of water, that has been coming through really strongly. And today I felt like I was connecting in again. I've been so hesitant to talk about like this comet energy, but like it's coming through so strongly, so I'm trying to just honor that, because I know there's a lot of people speaking about it, and yeah, but there is this I just heard the frequency bands. I want to keep saying the word wave, like these waves again. Those patterns are coming through, these like wave patterns, right? The interstellar wave patterns. I want to say like wave, weave, wove, like I almost feel like my vision just got a little blurry for a moment. So yeah, I was speaking about aura migraines the other day, and I'm being reminded of those. Yeah, there's a lot about the rainbow body, rainbow. I just remembered I saw a rainbow yesterday after a little bit of rain, or maybe it was 2 days ago. It was really beautiful, but it wasn't a full rainbow. It was like, it almost looked like, like a stream of a rainbow. So there's like this stream energy of the, this has been coming through a lot lately, these sacred geometric coatings through rainbow streams. I'm also seeing ultraviolet light and the metallic streams also. Yeah, they've been really strong in the energy. Some of you may be connecting with more like primary colors of the rainbow. Some of you may be connecting with multiple streams. Some of you may be connecting with the heliometallic or the pastel. And then some of you may be connecting with more of like the almost like neon. I'm seeing like the beings underwater that are self-illuminating, like deep sea, like those type of colors. I guess neon. Okay, so I also just got a very unexpected email. I reached out to this like a sort of like nomadic collective, like regenerative farming, like that type of thing, a while ago. I honestly forgot about it. And I got an email today. And so, yeah, there may be something that you like thought about, wanted a long time ago, put in for something like this, and you may be like hearing from something soon. And it's interesting that the Beanie Babies were coming through because, you know, there's like a craze that certain ones are like worth a lot of money. But apparently like that's a really tricky thing to navigate, and there's a lot of scams around that. So it was like everyone was really excited in my family, like, oh my God. But then like when we started researching it, we're like, oh, this is kind of like shady. So there's something like false starts like that, or like things that like might feel like they're going to be big and then they kind of just fizzle out pretty quickly. There could be this kind of energy. So like really doing your best to stay as like neutral in that way as you can, and patient as like things start to like show themselves. Like it feels like clarity is like coming in pretty quickly. So like certain opportunities, like there may be, I feel like I can't even talk, like there's like this opportunity, that opportunity, but then all of a sudden it goes really quiet again. Like there's this sort of like, yeah, I'm hearing just like, whew, we can like sit back, observe, let it happen, trust our like presence, our intuitive presence, like what we feel in each moment, and continue like doing your best to like feel your way through this. And I'm also doing this as well. Yeah, that like co-creator aspect is coming through so strongly. The Palladian frequency feels like, whoo, I just felt that wave of energy come in, the Palladian consciousness. I know the Syrian High Council has been coming through extremely strongly as well. And as soon as I said that, my left middle finger, the ether finger, just like literally lit. Like I could feel like so much like energetic circuitry is the phrase that's coming through, like running through. And I'm getting this visual of like lightning, like electromagnetic light, just like striking. Like this is powerful. Whoa. And I don't like using that word. I use it very sparingly, but like that is the word that came out. I feel like I'm buzzing. Like I'm literally buzzing right now. Whew. I also feel like I just got so thirsty. Yeah, electrolytes may be helpful right now. Whoa, I didn't realize I've been speaking for almost 30 minutes. I'm just checking in to see. Also, the threefold founder flame consciousness is coming through, the guardian consciousness. Stewardship has also been ringing in. I'm being shown a shake-up, so a kundalini shake-up. So yeah, there's something about geographical movement right now that may be coming in pretty soon. Or an opportunity for something like that. It doesn't have to be like everyone's, you know, going to a different country, but there is something about like movement and getting out there. Yeah, that Fool adventure energy has been coming through this week very intensely. Zeros. I've been seeing so many 7s as well. Like there's cabs around here, but I've been seeing it in a very synchronistic ways. License plates, cabs, like 777. I just remembered that one. And I mean, really, so many numbers are coming through, but excuse me. Oh, there's this card from the first Oracle deck I ever had. I know I talk about this one a lot. The 7 Blessings of Eve. Whew. When I said that, all these lights started to flicker around me. I'm in a parking lot right now, a parking garage. Where I'm staying, there's like 7 dogs. There were 7 dogs today, or were there 6? Now I think there's like, it doesn't matter, but they bark a lot, so it's a little bit harder to record. So I'm just doing it when I can. I just realized I almost never record in a car, and I just realized that I'm recording in a car when I was talking about all the car symbolism. So it's not like, yeah, it's like so rare that I record in cars. Like I don't even remember the last time I did. I mean, I could have and just forgot, but I don't really think so. Doing something different. That's good. Okay, I feel like I could keep going. The comet energy is still like buzzing, and I feel like there's more messages like streaming, strolling, rolling. I don't know, I'm hearing like yeah. Okay. I think that is all for now. Thank you so much. And I will be continuing this on the Overflow membership on Patreon. I got really into the energetics of like ascension mechanics. I've been back into that a lot on Overflow. I feel like I kind of like steered away a little bit, so I'll probably dive back into that. I was talking a lot about fire letters and DNA sequencing in the last Overflow. So yeah, I'll just sort of show up and see what's coming through the strongest. Yeah, I hope everyone's taking care of themselves and having that, you know, reminder of like Kuan Yin energy, just like self-compassion, nurture, gentle, and balance with that like Emperor, you know, like there's something about like an inner discipline also that's coming through. I was just being shown that like the sharpened inner discipline. So maybe some of you are like sort of are still transmuting this like mindset of, or this like automatic programming of like if I let myself rest too much, like I'm not going to get it done, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to get that. It might not be for all of you, but some of you may still be like having that lingering around. But I feel like whoever is listening to this, your inner discipline is like really strong, and I don't think you would ever let yourself like, I literally heard the phrase shit the bed. I don't know, literally, metaphorically. I mean, that's okay if that happens. I guess what I'm saying is like you have such a strong discipline and drive is what it feels like. So yeah, there's something about like, when I was showering today, I had something like stream in, and I was like, oh, that's such a nice feeling when you're like, not like, sometimes I find myself like being a little bit hard on myself, like, oh, I need to like figure something out, you know. I still do that sometimes, and then I catch myself and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna like do something enjoyable, like, and in the shower, instead of like trying to do something, I just like let myself be, and then all of a sudden, boom, like something came in about structured water, and I was like, oh, it's so nice when that happens. So you could be having moments like that as well. Okay, I think that is all. Thank you. I know I said I was finished like 3 times. The word productivity in the last 2 to 3 hours has come up like 3 to 4 times, and I meant to speak about it. In particular, like, have you been so focused on productivity? Insert, joy, presence, like doing things just like kind of like the shower energy I was talking about. Like when I was in the shower and I just like decided to let go for a second, and then I just like felt this like freeness, Anyway, so yeah, productivity, that word feels really key. And like our connection to like presence, productivity, how we approach, there's like something about switching up our approach, trying things differently. And this is not to like beat yourself up for the past, like, oh no, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. Like, no, like I was saying, there's just this new era that's here and available, this new energy, like the pattern energy, the pattern geometrics I was speaking of, the streams of, I just heard the phrase consciousness flows, the plasma fields, the morphogenetic field. Akash imprints have been coming up a lot lately. Akash imprints in this context, breaking down to like significant, imprints and points in time that, like, let's say are now kind of like I was talking about, like opportunities from the past, like coming around. And then it's kind of like these Akash imprints that are heavy in the collective right now, or like, think of how long they've been, at least from a linear time perspective, like waiting to be witnessed, recognized. That's coming through super strongly. Even from when I paused and came back, the energy feels different. Like it's only been maybe 5 or 10 minutes and my voice feels different, like the channel feels different. So yeah, there's definitely this it's like an Auric reorg. That's been coming through for a while, but I haven't heard that phrase in a while. Oh, and the music, I just realized I was speaking of that like 6 of Cups, like nostalgia energy coming through, things from the past. And then this radio station has been on since I've been in the car off and on, and all these like throwback songs, they like the DJ host literally was like throwback station. So yeah, that was like really synchronistic. I didn't even realize that until right now. Okay. Yeah, I hope you have a moment or a few moments to do something. Maybe you just did, maybe some of you will. Like that is just something that just feels great with no agenda. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. JK, I just had to say, as I pushed end record, it's 10:23 on the clock, which I'm pretty sure I started recording at 9:23. So what a full circle moment. I did not plan that at all. I took multiple breaks. Yeah, so there's definitely these full circle moments. And Susan said that the lights went off in the garage I'm in, and the lights have been very present, like off and on, and synchronistic, like the last hour and a half. So you may be having some form of like electronic communication, lights, flickering lights. You may be seeing like light codes in lights or coming off of the lights. Yeah. Okay.